I want to do more than just entertain. I want to do something that has purpose and meaning. And I honestly didn't know what that was. I just wanted to. I just asked myself that question, and I decided that I don't want to do anything that doesn't have purpose or meaning. And so once you put that out there in the universe and you live by that, and you're willing to sacrifice everything, meaning I don't need to take on work. I don't want to go move somewhere just to make video games. I want to figure out what that was. And for me, I learned that I don't need to leave video games to make a difference. I just needed to take the experience that I had and the talents that I had in the industry that I helped build and turn that into something meaningful. And when I came upon that, we started working on this game called the Eighth Cell, and I'll give you a little preview of that as well. I can share my screen. I come prepared. Imagine
We
Halo
appreciate
and this my partner who's also in Shreveport, Carl Lapperouse. Let me share. Let me actually share my screen. That may help. I keep forgetting I turned it off.
it. There we
Um,
go.
yeah. So Carl had this idea. Like, what if you went inside the body like Halo and you could fight things that are trying to kill you. It's like infection and disease, viruses. I mean, we all are, that's very, it's very on our tip of our tongue right now. Parasites, all these things. Imagine being able to fight like cancer, fight the things that are trying to kill you. And you have warriors, you have these friends with you that go in and cooperatively try to kill these diseases. And that was the idea that sparked, like, oh my god, I need to make this video game to help people learn about their body, learn about what's really happening. Maybe we can make it an educational tool. And we started studying the field. Citizen science is a thing, educating through video games is the future. But I wanted to make sure it could do more. And so what we did was we started building this thing, and we even had a little, we were really blessed. A couple of years ago we had this little boy Jimmy, who was a through the Make-A-Wish program. He was a suffering from brain cancer, and his wish was to go to a game studio, ask them to build a game where he could fight and kill cancer. That was his humble little wish. And so we had built this demo for this game, the Eight Cell, and another studio invited us over to let Jimmy play the game. And so Jimmy got to kill cancer in the game. And his mother would tell us he would lay in bed at night visualizing beating cancer and visualizing killing it. And and Jimmy's a miracle kid. He went from having terminal brain cancer to full remission. But he would tell us, his mother would tell us, hey, you helped me understand what was happening. You helped me take the fight to the thing that was trying to kill you. And it uh, helped me get my head wrapped around it, literally. So here's the demo of the game. So like I said, imagine Halo in the body, and we use the Unreal Engine, and we built this out. We built this with 5 grad students that graduated the guild hall, and we built it like in 3 months. And so you go down in the body. So we're going to build a mission inside the bones, and those are killer T cells. Everything's grounded in the biology. Everything's grounded in the real science. And you do things like you gather antibodies with your little friend Alpha. You gather these antibodies and you create an antigen. The antigen is what you use to attract the killer T cells to the cancer. These are all things that are state of the art ways of looking at medicine. And so your body's full of natural resources, and your immune system's full of natural resources, and you can use those to equip and create medicine and then treat the body with them. Well, what we did was we built a technology that lies underneath games. So you're solving real problems. You're actually creating computational biology while you're playing this game based in biology. So you literally are helping researchers and labs find cures to disease, reverse engineer the gene regulatory network, and be able to literally help fight disease while you simply play a video game.
That is awesome, and it looks spectacular too. I know the guys from the Guildhall did some excellent work on it.
Yeah, and it was, and we it's funny because when we first started working on this, and we would tell people, thank you, by the way, we tell people what we're doing, they're like, you're gonna play a video game and help cancer research? I mean, like, come on, that's not real. And I was like, yeah, it's real and it's working. And and it's just, when you can tell whenever you talk about something like this to a game, they're like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. Of course we could crowdsource data through a game. Yeah, of course we could have the crowd solve a problem together. Of course, games educate. If you talk to someone who's not a gamer, they go cross-eyed when you try to get that concept over to them. But it's weird because the world just needed to catch up to this idea, and that was really the visionary part about what Carl had come up with, and our partner Dr. Corey Clark, who created the technology that lies underneath gaming, and making this data science through gaming possible.
Yes. When you're displaying your game to medical doctors in that field, do you get a lot of that resilient or pushback because they didn't grow up with gaming or they just don't understand it?
Yeah, it's weird. So we have a master collaboration agreement with LSU, actually in Shreveport, where we started at Dr. Gali there and Dr. Christopher Kevel. We went and pitched all of the department heads at the med school. And when I was in college at LSUS, I actually worked at the LSU Med Center in Shreveport. I was doing graphics for their graphics department. So I was visualizing, and Adrian Carmack was there too. That was one of his jobs. We doing medical illustration, doing graphs. We were visualizing doctors' data in a really rudimentary way. And so this is a more immersive way. This is, being able to go inside the body and being able to visualize things in context and how they work in conjunction with each other. It was really amazing for us when we put the game, the 8 Cell, into front of kids who are 10 years old, in where 30 minutes of gameplay, they're repeating back college level microbiology, and they understand how it works because they've just gone through the process of needing to do it in order to get the resources to in as a game. So really safe learning. We put the same thing in front of med students, first year med students, and they turn around and look at us like, I just learned about this today in class. I mean, so as an educational tool, absolutely. As a compliance, like medical doctors tell us, if we could just get our patients to be compliant with their treatment, if there's a fun way to teach them, hey, if you're getting chemotherapy and if you don't stay hydrated, you're going to be your chances of recovery are smaller. So just understanding, if you can visualize, oh man, that's I can see dehydration in a form in a game. Maybe I can start to understand, you know what, I got to get water because I don't want to look like what I saw in that video game. And
Exactly.
so yeah, they're absolutely, they see the value of this. Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. I like that. Um, as far as like morals go and morality, how is that? How do you encompass that into the product that you're making?
Well, Balance Media Technology is a value driven company. Our mission is to empower people to help make a difference, empower communities. So we absolutely want to. When we started looking at the game, we started looking at the characters that we wanted to design, the stories that we wanted to tell. We wanted to tell a very inclusive story. It's the humanity, human biology is part of all of us, right? And that's the great thing about a game based in the body is we all have one, so we can all relate. But we all look at our how we all look at spirituality, we all look at our cultures a little different, and that's okay. That's the great thing about humans is that we're not all the same, that we have differences, and we want to tell those stories from different points of view. So all the characters that we have that are human in the game have different point of view stories. So we're trying to tell as many of the stories of humanity and the morality around that as much as possible. So our company is driven to do good with our products, and we're also driven to connect people. So we want people to feel like they're part of the answer, and
That's
not
great.
preach to them, not tell them what the answer is, but help them understand that together we are the answer.
It's great. I like that. That's right. So it's opening up new doors and pathways for people to actually connect with one another.
Absolutely, man. That's what games do great, right? I mean,
That's right.
that's the thing that games more than ever have allowed us to connect and share relationships, especially in today's world where you literally can't go outside and we
Yeah.
can't go meet our friends in a church or a bar or whatever we do. Um, we need games more than ever to be able to connect with each other, and that's so it is a social tool, and that's the thing that most people who don't understand games, they think that kid that's in their bedroom is not being social. that couldn't be further from the truth. They actually are on the game with all their friends connected with them through the headset. They're talking and playing with their friends. They're just not going outside like we did growing up.
No,
They're very social.
that's right. I like that. Being on the bleeding edge of technology, how close are you to that edge?
Um, I think that's the great thing about the gaming industry. Almost every 5 years, you see a completely new paradigm of technology, completely new paradigm and I'll give you an example. So Duke Nukem 3D, I worked on that in '96. That wasn't true 3D. Even Doom wasn't true 3D. But Quake was the same year, '96. Quake came out as a 3D engine, and that was genuine 3D, genuine 3D lighting, and so that was one of the big steps. And then the multiplayer, another big step. Real time physics that came out in the and normal mapping and some of the engines things that came out in 2007 changed the industry yet again, where the need, how we made models and how we made characters, how we made textures, all those things changed from being hand painted, hand created, to using 3D tools. And and so the gaming industry has always been pushing the envelope across many paradigms. Mobile wasn't what smartphones
That's right.
really were there. They were great things that are in the smartphones. Even AR, that's been around in smartphones forever. No one knew about it until Pokemon. Everyone was walking around
Yeah,
catching Pokemon with their AR. That tool and the ability to do that with that phone had existed years before that, but a game had to open it up to the community. And even how we sell product, gaming industry is the leader in that. We used to be in '96, for instance, all retail, right? You could sell direct. You could download it a little. There was some direct download, but it wasn't really a big deal. And then retail was everything. If your box wasn't in Walmart, you weren't going to make money. And a company called Valve Software with Half-Life 2 said they want to stop letting retail be controlling how they deliver their products. So they created Steam, and Steam became digital distribution's golden chalice. It was the way we now download games. We don't go to stores anymore necessarily to
no,
buy games. We do them digitally. That's the gaming industry. That's people who have vision and talent that want to solve a problem, and they don't need permission. They'll just go do it. And
that's right.
that's the game developer mentality.
I like that mentality, and you are a very powerful force, and telling us that, especially when you were at the Guild Hall. Tell me what keeps you going to want to do this, and how do you hold yourself accountable to like meet your deadlines?
That's a good question. So I'm an artist. So so I'm a creator. If you want to use the word creator, artist, I can't. If you have that in you, you can't stop. You're going to be creating, or you're going to die. I mean, that is really. And so
Right.
I may have stopped making fine art for myself, which I don't recommend, but I kind of got to a place because I was at the art director level, the creative director level. I started my own companies. In my fifth company, I was always able to live through the product. So the product is still my art, still my creation. And so I'm very I've always had that drive. The secondary thing, when I found the purpose, like, I recommend everyone finds their purpose as soon as possible, and you'll know it when it happens, is to create the eight cell, create technology that can empower community, create products that educate, that expand the minds of people so they can start to see, the world in a different way. That's what drives me. Is like, I'm not going to stop until the eight cells an educational tool in schools. I'm not going to stop till we're crowdsourcing the world's most complicated problems through video games. I'm not going to stop to, games are the way we educate students, because we all learn at different rates. Standardized testing is a bunch of bullshit. If we had a way that was interactive and could learn, the AI or the test could learn where you're at and then go, oh, this person is stuck here. That's what we're going to focus on for a second. and the teacher doesn't have to stop and do it. It's all done through the interactive experience. That's how, and that's possible. Like my partner Corey Clark, who's also at the Guildhall, he's the one who created the human platform that our games run on. He won a next prize for adult literacy. He created a video game that, with his team of grad students from the Guildhall graduates, and they used it to, and they moved the meter faster than any other product. They were up against Apple and Google and all these big companies. A little team of 5 people, highly recommend you do that. Built
Mhm.
a product that taught people how to read faster, and guess what? It was more fun, and it's safer because learning, interactive learning is a safe place to learn, and it's how we learn as humans
That's right.
through immersion.
That's right. I think that all of our stuff will be downloadable content, maybe like in the future. Um, this may be like an offbeat question, but have you seen anything from the movies that's incorporated into what you're doing now?
I think thematically movies have always been pushing the envelope. I think, when you looked at Black Mirror, they had the Choose Your Own Adventure. And I grew up reading those books, the Choose Your Own Adventure books. I think that customized content is part of the future, because we all want to be part of the story. And I think that there's other things that are happening, even just on tech side, like what was happening with Unreal Engine, where you're able to create these 3D experiences that are being delivered through film now too. So they can cut production costs. They can do things that you couldn't do with the traditional camera rigs. It's less expensive than some of the other more traditional high rendering time processes, and it lends itself toward hopefully the future some type of genuine 3D movie experience where we could be in the movie and look around
Oh, yes.
and be part of it. So I think gaming, if anything's pushing the envelope into other genres like film, more than film is film pushes better stories on the gaming, which we still haven't done well. Uh, Gaming pushes more bizarre experiences that movies are now starting to take on. So it's kind of we're starting to see this kind of
Yeah,
more intertwined experience.
I like that. You mentioned also about working in teams. How important is it to find somebody that has a shared interest as you or a like-minded individual as yourself?
Yeah, it's critical, and I think that's the hardest part. When I part of the one of the reasons why I wanted to leave the industry, or I didn't find satisfaction, I should say, as much as I had, was because I wasn't working with people that I enjoyed working with. And that's hard, because we all are creative, we all have passion, and we all have desire to, and sometimes you just conflict, right? And because gaming is such a team effort, you have to have everybody willing to pull in the same direction, or you have splintering, you have massage. A product can be homogenized, so meaning all the peaks and all the cool things could get pushed down because not everybody buys into the vision. There's all these different things that dynamically can have effects if you don't have the right people. And so you'll know it as an individual if you're always in conflict with your team, or you're always in conflict with others, uh, you know about the vision, not personal conflicts. Then you may be in the wrong team,
Yeah,
and you have to make that decision to you know to and at the same time, you as an individual have to get buy-in. That's the hardest part, is like constantly getting buy-in. You always have to be, even if you own the company, like I've been, it's like I couldn't just go tell people, no, I want it done this way. That would be the wrong way to do it. There's times I wish I would have done that, but really, what you really want is you want to get everybody excited about the same stuff. So you are
that's right.
always internally having to sell the ideas, sell the vision, sell things to people, and everybody's busy. No one wants to hear something that you thought of, but you really need to have open forums where everybody's always thinking about the product and living in the product space. If all you did was go to work, do your job, and go home, you're not living in the product. Like if you're living inside of a product, you are always thinking about it. You're always coming up with ideas. You can't wait to tell somebody when you get to work about hey, this or that, or hey, I think I solved this problem, or I think I like thought about it differently. What about this character idea? Whatever it is, you have to live within the work. And if you're not, that means you're just not connected to the work, and you need to figure that out.
Yeah. Could you tell me about a time that you was working in a studio or on a game that was like a really, really good experience for you? Like you were just so hyped to be there every day.
I've been there many times. I think so. I'll, I'll give you a little bit of history and why this experience meant so much to me. So, I would say when you start earning money as an artist, even if it's a commission or it's you're winning awards with cash or whatever, I'd say 17 years old I started getting money for being an art artist, and went to school and I went and got my first job at Apogee where I did all the marketing. So all I got to do was the boxes. So I can show you some of I can share again and show you. So I got to do a lot of box art and did that for 3.5 years, and I kept begging my boss, man. I was like, man, I want to make games, dude. I don't want to just do the marketing anymore. So I got to do logos and advertising and all this stuff. I got to work on some cool stuff like Rise of the Triad was one of the big games I got to work on first.
That's awesome.
And then I got to work on Duke Nukem, so I did all the marketing here. I'm the guy who did the box art.
That's
Robert
right.
Grace illustrated the box art. I designed the logos and wrote the copy and did all of the layout and all the it's fun stuff. The box art, frankly, was a homage to Army of Darkness, which we all loved, and that whole
That's
game
right.
is a homage to pop culture. They still use it 20 years later. It's one of the most iconic images in gaming, and so I was in a great position just doing that kind of stuff. But I was like, man, I gotta grow. I gotta do more. And and so I was begging them to let me make games, and they were like, no, you're good at your job. You do your job. And so I was like, I brought a personal computer back then. It was just a desktop, and I brought the desktop and I set it down next to my Mac that I used to do the desktop publishing for all the boxes and stuff. And I just at lunchtime, I just learned how to do pixel art for video games. So I started just doing pixel art, like meaning like the textures, the texture art and stuff. And that year, my friend Adrian, who owned id, was like, "Hey, we're gonna release Quake. We want to do some expansion packs. Would you guys be interested in doing an expansion pack?" So I got in '96. I started my own company. Me and some of the people left that worked on Duke, and we got to work on the Quake expansion pack. And that was 10 years, like 10 years as being a professional artist before I ever got to design a character, design a level idea, to have any say over the actual content of the game. So that's the other thing I would say is like it could be, don't give up. You gotta like, don't, just because the boss says don't do something or don't, no, you can't do this. If you really want to in your heart, you'll find a way. You'll go home and you'll work on stuff. And you'll go. No one's got to tell you that you want to make games. It's just when you decide in your own mind, I'm going to do this. There's no excuse. And so you got to put in that extra effort and you got to put in that extra work. And I would sit there and do that at night and during lunch. And then in '96 I got to work on Scourge of Armagon, which was the first Quake pack, and ended up winning product of the year for its thing. And for years it was one of the most popular games out there, that our version, because it had things like the space map from the very
Yeah.
first space map, all this multiplayer cool stuff that we did. And it took 10 years though.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to realize as a young person, as a beginning, is like it don't happen overnight. And you just got to
Oh,
keep pushing hard. Even when you work on something big like Duke Nukem, that just should propel you forward to do the thing you want to do. Don't just sit back and pat yourself on the back. Oh, we just did this. We left that company to go do the thing that we wanted to do. To be our own boss, to work on stuff. It was like sometimes even when you're on the top, you need to like ratchet it up or change, because that's how you grow and that's how you advance, and that's why this industry is so amazing, is because creatives control it.
that's right. That was very motivative right there. And if somebody who listened to that doesn't get motivated, then I don't know what's wrong with them. That was pretty awesome, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm
So
fired up always, man. You know, if you ask how do I get motivated, I live this. To me, my problem is I can't run fast enough. Like
that's right. If so many ideas and so little time.
yeah, and you just got to be on fire. You got to figure that out. And I didn't grow up like this. You know, I grew up playing outside. I grew up, you know, I didn't have TV. I didn't have a computer, games. I just had my imagination, you know.
That's
And
right.
so when you're given these amazing tools that we have now with 3D tools and art tools and Unity and Unreal and all this stuff that we didn't have 20 years ago, you know, a plethora of ways to learn. Every tutorial in the world's out there. Amazing schools like DMI and colleges like graduate programs like SMU Guildhall. You have no excuse not to empower your creativity, empower your mind. You will go way further faster than I did. The reason it took 10 years for me is because the industry was just not in the same position it is today to propel you.
That's right. All right. That was really awesome and really, really eye opening and touching. Dude, thank you for being our guest here at DMI Live. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
My pleasure. Anytime you want to talk, man.
All right. Well, guys, with run out another time. We've done another episode of DMI Live. This was our guest, Robert Atkins, industry professional, legend. So you can find all the information at our Dropbox and check us out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, and we'll see you guys later.